All right. Welcome to Real Talk. I'm your host, Chemo Man. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel. If you haven't been here before, this is a place where we get to talk about a whole bunch of subject matters that relate to us in general, and things that we all go through or are going to go through in life. Yeah, it's a passion of mine to be able to talk about these things in a unfiltered way and in a way that's not sugar coated. So I really appreciate you taking your time to come here and watch this video. And if you like the video, give us a thumbs up, and if you could subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. It keeps me going on this journey. But as I alluded in episode 4, episode 5 is about bullying. Whew, that's a topic, eh? Um, I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who have experienced this firsthand, and it's not a nice subject to talk about. But I think that we need to talk about it once again. More communication is better than less communication. So that's my motto. That's what I feel is best in so many aspects of life. So if you are experiencing bullying, you need to talk about it right away, and you need to talk about it with the right people who can support you. But anyways, I'll get into a bit of a background. So when I was going into basically, I went to many schools when I was young. I flip-flopped around more than I would like to, so it was not the greatest experience. But I remember going to grade 4 in this new school, and my first day started off not how I envisioned it. Even I know it's grade 4, but I do have a really good memory, and a lot of family members and friends have told me that I have a really good memory. But I remember clear that day what happened, and I remember getting in front of the class. The teacher said, "I want you to introduce yourself to the class," and so you're standing in front of the class, and I say my name, and there's some kids that start laughing because I have some could say an unusual name for a male. So basically, and then what didn't help was that the teacher also made fun of my name and also made fun of where I came from. Um, I don't know if some of you might know this, but there was a there was some type of cod war going on in the mid 90s between Spain and Canada, a fishing war going on. And I told when I first got up in front of everyone, I said I was Canadian, and I was also I was half Danish, half Canadian. That's my background. Born in Spain, and grew up in Spain. And, and so I say that I'm Canadian and say my name, and basically the teacher starts making fun of where I'm coming from, making fun of that I'm Canadian, and also making fun of my name. And so I had this like experience where I was already I was, that it wasn't a good start. And from then on, it was hard for me to um, know what to do in that situation. So I just I froze and just kind of like tried to ignore it, and I sat down right away. I didn't really stay up there for any more of that. I thought to myself later when I was older, it's like you have to be really insecure, a really unconscious person to make fun of a kid on their first day of school right in front of the class. Like it's just like who does that? I mean, anyways, so anyways, I sit down and I go about my day. But as the months would roll by, um, I was really good in sports, and I joined the soccer team, and I did really well. I was one of the top players, and you'd think that that would be a good thing, but for some reason, who I was and what I did in school did not bode well with a group of kids, and bullying started. And it's it's crazy how it started. First, it's with some name calling and making fun of my name, and then out in the schoolyard, it starts with intimidation and yeah, I try to ignore it. I try to um, um, not react, but yeah, it just got out of hand, and it happened pretty much um, every day, and sometimes it was small, and sometimes it was a larger case where it felt like I was going to get hit. And so, but it was mostly threats in the beginning. And then I just remember one day, I think it was after a great game I'd played, had these older kids come up to me and they're like, "Oh yeah, you think you're that good and blah blah blah." And I remember this kid saying, kind of like it was like a bit of an intimidation again. And then it seemed like he switched his tone. He's like, but we can be friends, kind of, it's all good. And then, so I kind of relaxed. And as I went, when I went and relaxed, he grabbed me and he kneed me in the balls really, really hard. And I remember just hitting the ground, and they just walked off, and I was on the ground for quite a while. I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but getting hit in the testicles really hard. It feels like it feels like your whole stomach is on fire and you can't move. But anyways, I'm going into a lot of detail about this story, but I just remember going home that day and my mom was like, "What are these kids doing to you?" And and she looks at my bruises. I had bruising on my testicles because he kneed me so hard. And then it started from then, and then they would follow me home, and my mom, I was just living with my mom, so I didn't have any father figure, which is such a huge thing to have in those situations, is having a male presence. Because my mom was very like nonviolent, and she always told me not to do anything, and so I felt stuck, and um, yeah, and this is it's a hard subject to talk about, but um, what I sorry, I'm just gathering my thoughts. Yeah, they would follow me home. They started stealing things from my home. Started egging my house. They started making insinuations about my mom and her profession and all sorts of horrible things. And um, I felt trapped. I didn't know what to do. Um, I Yeah, I was not sure, and I I started to fight back a bit, but anytime I fought back, it seemed like I would get ganged up on, and I said it seemed like I just tried to avoid these situations, and then I met someone who joined school who was a very very strong person. Had been doing some was heavily into contact sports and also was into martial arts, and he said that you need to stand up for yourself. You need to start working on yourself, and you can't give them an in, because once these kids have an opportunity to get into your field, then yeah, they're just going to take advantage of you. So you need to put your foot down, and in more ways than one, it's also psychological, which was really interesting. He was saying, and yeah, and so I I slowly started to take that in, and and I started to stand up for myself, because I told the teachers and they didn't do anything. I told the principal, they didn't do anything either. So it seemed like it was up to me, to try and, yeah, just stand up for yourself and say no more. And I remember it was a very empowering feeling, and that's also I joined martial arts, and that was huge. Just doing martial arts made me feel more confident about who I was, and also, being around, people who could support me and I could talk to about these situations that I've been through, and just it's just a it's almost like it's just like a state of mind that once you know how to defend yourself a little bit and know how to fight back in those situations, they can feel that. The bullies can feel that, and they kind of like stay away. That was in my experience what started happening, because then after I moved into grade seven, it completely stopped. It completely stopped. I started finding this inner strength in me by doing martial arts, by researching, and also by, yeah, by taking advice from strong males who'd been there before and didn't take shit from anyone. So, and I remember that being like a really huge point for me of like reclaiming my power, because I felt so powerless in those situations, and I would just I'd get hit or get punched, or and and my mom would say, don't 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 fight back, or don't make it worse. And so, and I was just so caught, and I was like, well, no one's doing anything about it. The teachers aren't doing anything about it, so I have to fight back. I have to make sure that they know that they can't get away with this anymore. And as soon as I started putting my foot down and started to fight back, that's what worked for me. That's what it I managed to push them away and started creating some distance. And yeah, so I'm not saying that that's what works for everyone, but in my experience, taking martial arts, talking to the right people, getting the support, and reclaiming your power. It's really, you have to reclaim your power. It's a huge. It's not only physical that you're doing the work physically, but you have to do the work mentally. It's a state of mind as well, because when you know how to defend yourself, you know how to fight. They feel that energy, they feel that presence, and they start to back away. In my experience, anyways, that was what happened to me. Um, so yeah, any of you watching out there, if you're a young lad, or a young girl, or however you identify, it can be hard with the bullying, and this is just one video we're going to go into. There's many different forms of bullying, obviously, but I just want you to know I'm there for you. I'm thinking about you all, and I've been through it, and I've been made fun of for who I am, for my name, and I've been beat up for it, and I've gone through hell through it when I was young. But it wasn't until I reclaimed my power, and you understand psychologically what that means, and also physically, in doing martial arts and knowing how to defend yourself if you need to. Most times, once you know how to defend yourself, people don't mess with you, and most times, even when I did, I would still try and avoid the situation, because you don't want to engage in fights, especially if there's more people there. Someone could end up hurting you really bad if you're going against three people. And so best routine is just to make some space and get out of there. But in my point is, I had to stand up for myself, and that's what worked for me, because as soon as I stood up for myself, which took a long time, it took a lot of beating before I got to that point. Nothing really changed, and it was only until I stood up for myself mentally and physically. So anyone out there going through that, just write in the comments and let me know. I can write back and let you know some more tips on if you're dealing with that situation. But yeah, if you're watching this video and you are going through bullying right now, please talk to the right people and get support from people who actually care, who can actually do something about it. Because in my experience, obviously that things have changed. That was back in the 90s. Things are different now. I'm sure schools have different policies and all of that. So, but there's also the psychological bullying that goes on online and all of that stuff, and that'll be another topic for my next video that I'll go into. But yeah, it was just one of those experiences that I wanted to share and to let you know that that's what worked for me, was doing martial arts, and I recommend jiu-jitsu is fantastic. I also kickboxing is really good too, judo, and yeah, yeah, the taekwondo is really good as well. Boxing, just general boxing is really good, understanding. But yeah, yeah, just all these incredible martial arts out there that give you an incredible amount of self-confidence, and that's what it did for me. And yeah, so I really recommend joining martial arts, just not to fight, but just the amount of self-confidence it gives you, and the presence that people know you can fight. They don't want to mess with you. They don't want to engage, and that's what happened to me. And I've spoken to other people who have experienced the same thing, and yeah, it seems to work. So anyways, I will be doing another video on bullying. This is just the first part. But I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with me, and drop a comment, please. I'd love to hear your experience with bullying and what might have helped you. If we can share the information that has helped us, we can join together against bullies. And then another thing I wanted to say, that one thing I realized was really crucial, is I looked at I looked at the families of these bullies, and there's something bad going on in those families, with they're getting treated badly at home, or there's negligence in the type of care that they're getting. So it's I felt bad, for them in some respects, because the they're some of them were getting abused, and so they were lashing out onto me, finding a way to use me as a punching bag, which is really common. I can guarantee it, because I know some of the families, how they were involved in and with alcohol and different things like that. So yeah, it's a tough one, but yeah, it's necessary that we talk about these things, and it's really important that we share the information that's worked. We don't want to feel alone. It's the worst thing. Especially, I'll be going into that in my second video, as how bad, how incredibly bad for your mental health it can be, getting bullied, and then the online aspects that going on in today's society. So it's different type of bullying that goes on as well too. But yeah, just drop me a comment. Let me know how I can support you. I'd love to be able to write back and answer some of your questions. If you have some questions, you can write them down. But really appreciate you joining me, and we'll see you in the next episode. Till next time.